codon ring, the ring of humanity, 10, 17, 21, 25, 38, 51. Physiology, pituitary gland, amino acid, arginine. The 17th shadow, opinion, the closing of the third eye. As we examine in depth the pairing of the 17th and 18th shadows, we will see two of humanity's greatest mental gifts and dilemmas, opinion and judgment. These two qualities epitomize the logical left hemisphere of the human brain. Our ability to base an opinion on logical judgment is one of the great powers of human beings. It is this combination that sets us apart from all other creatures, and yet it is also what has pulled us away from the reality of our interconnectedness with all other creatures. So it may seem ironic that at their very highest levels of frequency, these two attributes of the male polarity within the brain are actually destined to drive humanity towards the final stage of our evolution. Through the 17th City of Omniscience, the human mind will finally see the perfection and beauty of our oneness with all existence. And through the 18th City of Perfection, we will actually bring that vision into full manifestation. At the shadow frequency, however, these two attributes of opinion and judgment create nothing but division, because they are based on seeing and challenging narrow aspects of the whole, rather than the whole itself. It is only when you have risen to the highest level of consciousness that these same attributes become capable of seeing every aspect of the whole simultaneously, which is the quality known as omniscience. Shadow frequencies always contain the seeds of greatness, despite the often unpleasant ramifications of their lower manifestation. You can really see from the example of the 17th and 18th shadows how deeply genetic binaries operate together to make our lives miserable. The 18th shadow of judgment is a drive rooted in dissatisfaction within every human being, and its single role is to try to find the cause of this deep uneasiness through the medium of the 17th shadow. As an intellectual capacity within the human brain, the 17th shadow of opinion corresponds to the digital left hemisphere of the brain that specializes in pattern recognition, the basis of logic. Fueled by the restless nature of the 18th shadow, this 17th shadow seeks an answer to its unease through the mind, whose nature is to project itself out on the world. In other words, the shadow of opinion is programmed to look for flaws in the outer world, in society, in people, and even in oneself. When a flaw is discovered, it becomes the seed for an entire world view, and a whole story is built up inside the mind of that individual. The projected flaw, which is always based on some form of comparison, becomes the point of focus for all that dissatisfied energy coming through the 18th shadow. This is how human opinions form. They crystallize around a single projection, which is born of early conditioning, and thus, over time, a molehill turns into a mountain. This description is a simplified version of how early childhood conditioning impresses itself on the mental mechanism of every child. Your opinions sprout from seeds planted at some point within your first 7 years, even though they do not begin to surface in the mind until your third 7-year cycle, sometime during your teen years. If a child developed naturally, without any external synthetic pattern, physical, emotional, or mental, imposed on them during these first 7 years, it is highly unlikely that he or she would grow into an opinionated adult. In our modern society, opinions are actually considered to be a healthy thing, and it is true that they are not inherently unhealthy. The logical left brain thinks through taking sides and comparing. Problems occur when your dissatisfaction begins to identify with an opinion and turns it into a dogma. It is also at this point that another disease takes root inside you, the dis-ease of seriousness. The healthy expression of opinion is rooted in a certain playfulness that comes of having an equally developed right hemisphere of the brain. Whereas the left brain sees the parts, the right hemisphere only sees the whole. If the inner structure of the brain is balanced, the male aspect will always serve the female, since seeing the part without seeing the whole is limiting, divisive, and dangerous. Whenever you become over-serious about your opinions, you immediately find yourself having to defend them. It is this dynamic that is at the root of violence. At the gift level of frequency, as we shall see, opinion gives way to far-sightedness, which is based upon seeing both sides of a situation at the same time. If the right brain provides the backdrop to the whole picture, it becomes impossible for the left brain to become fixed on any single element of the whole. In this respect, if you do choose to take sides, it is for the sole purpose of maintaining integrity, the 18th gift. It is interesting to note that healthy brain development in early childhood has little to do with intellect and much more to do with non-interference. In their first 7 years, children really only require an environment in which they can learn through play. Any imposition of an external rhythm that does not follow the biological and seasonal pulse will subtly disturb the delicate structure of the developing brain and nervous system. It is here in the 17th gene key that your inner timing is founded. This timing is anchored deep within the body and is connected to the frequency of the earth itself. The 7-year cellular cycle is founded on a deep inner drumbeat that echoes throughout every system of the developing child from the point of conception forward. If these powerful natural rhythms are pushed out of kilter early in life, your inner timing will be distorted when you become an adult. This time distortion manifests most commonly as mental anxiety, but can also lead to a wide range of physiological problems emerging later in life, all of which can be very difficult to diagnose or fix. The 17th shadow governs the way in which huge numbers of people view the world. On a collective level, this shadow has created the world we see around us today. It has categorized humanity into boxes, countries, religions, and hierarchies based on a left-brain view of the world. Almost every aspect of our society is based upon division, comparison, and opinion. Most human beings make decisions on the strength of what the left brain tells them, without regard for the long-term effects on the greater environment. It is because of this 17th shadow that we have lost sight of the bigger picture. Because this shadow only sees what it is programmed to see, it builds its life around the original germ of dissatisfaction. Our children, therefore, behave in the way the world programs them to behave, whether they conform or rebel. They are born into a world where the 17th shadow is given precedent, and all their eyes see is their own point of view and how to maintain it. However, as its programming partner, the 18th shadow demonstrates the dissatisfaction inherent in human beings from birth is divine in nature. It is the very force that is here to challenge everything that goes against nature and the whole, which is why it will ultimately drive human beings to create a perfect world. It is only through the 17th shadow that this basic drive of human dissatisfaction is twisted to serve the left brain, where instead of serving the whole, it serves the parts, thus creating more and more division in the world. Because this shadow is so adept at understanding structures, It is the prime organizing agent within the human brain, allowing you to structure language, use numbers, and see things in levels, bands, and hierarchies. In its power, it also creates the language of your individual reality, and that language is built upon a dualistic linguistic structure that does not allow transcendence. The moment you open up the structure of your inner language to the third level that lies beyond the two contrary opinions, Democratic or Republican, conservative or Labour, male or female, you ignite the power within your DNA to exit the shadow frequency altogether. In summary then, the 17th shadow holds human thinking at a dualistic level, and it does this through overemphasizing the left brain approach. It makes the logical intellectual view the linchpin of your neuro-linguistic reality. In this sense, it compromises and represses the holistic right brain, a process described in detail through the 11th shadow. It is only through combining and balancing these two viewpoints that a third, transcendent view opens up to you. This is precisely what the 64 gene keys do inside your brain. They give you a new set of neuro-linguistic parameters that digitally reprogram your logic to transcend itself and find the third view. It is this third view that will ultimately allow you to perceive a wider and greater reality. It is this very same process of inner rewiring that generations of masters and mystics have called the opening of the third eye. Repressive nature, self-critical. When the 17th shadow turns inward, it creates the tendency in the mind to consistently compare oneself to others, and furthermore to side with the others. This results in human beings who continually undermine themselves through self-criticism. As a pattern lodged deep within the unconscious, it also means they are rarely aware of what they are doing. The self-critical aspect of these personality types usually does not value itself enough to hold an opinion, much less express it. Such people lack the backbone necessary to stand up for themselves because they have no real sense of themselves. The power of the 17th shadow is that once it has fixed a viewpoint, it can always find evidence to prove the validity of that view, since it is adept at pattern recognition. These people thus go on accumulating evidence throughout their lives to support the core belief that their life is of little value. Reactive nature, opinionated. Opinion can be understood as anything that requires defense to uphold. As the 17th shadow turns outward, it creates the impressive systems of dogma seen all across the world. This shadow has great appeal to the male population in particular, since the male brain naturally favors the rational approach. These people use logic as a means to enforce their opinions and views in the world, thereby making others essentially wrong. The majority of the world is made up of those who create the opinion basis, sciences, systems, and hierarchies, and those who then believe those opinions and unwittingly become their victims. Those who defend an opinion are ruled by their unconscious anger, which is the expression of their deeper fear. It is extremely rare to find a human being who is truly free from opinion. Such a person must have looked into their fears and embraced their rage in order to move into that magical place that sees both sides of life. Only in seeing both sides can balance be struck and control be yielded. The 17th gift, far-sightedness, precognition via the heart. It is ironic that what often passes for reason in the world is really someone's opinion dressed up in facts that happen to justify it. At the shadow frequency, the human mind distorts logic and facts for its own ends by building one argument and then concealing its counter-argument. The mass of humanity is easily influenced by one side or the other. It is out of the mind's duality that all human drama is born, and the mass consciousness of humanity loves drama. It is all a game played by spin doctors, and if you think you have escaped this game, then look deeply at your opinions, and perhaps you will discover how easily conditioned your own mind really is. The fact is that human beings, like Skinner's rats, see only what they are programmed to see, which are flaws. All opinions are based upon seeing flaws in the geometry of life. It is only when you have transcended your fear of freedom that you can move beyond the opinion game and enter a higher sphere of existence. Moreover, to move beyond opinion, you have to stop taking life seriously and personally. For most people, the 17th gift seems beyond their capacity, because to give up your viewpoint is to give up the deep-seated need of your mind to identify with something fixed. Your mind believes that in finding a fixed view or philosophy, fear can be held in check and life will be under control. If you look within most human minds, you will find layers and layers of conditioned dogma, from books, scientifically proven theories, religious beliefs, and/or traditional views. You will find minds that are desperately trying to become certain about life. And yet, the 17th gift is not about having a great holistic vision of reality that takes no sides and is beyond opinion. The 17th gift is a mentally dynamic gift. It does not sit idly by with a philosophy of passive acceptance. This gift has a purpose, and that is to understand the minute mechanics of life as well as seeing the whole picture. Like its shadow, the 17th gift is driven by its programming partner, the 18th gift, which is integrity. Thus, the true purpose of the 17th gift is to serve and uphold integrity by challenging all misrepresentations of truth in the world. The very quality that leads to narrow-mindedness at the shadow frequency has a mission to create open-mindedness at the gift frequency. The wonderful truth of logic is to be found in the 63rd gene key, which demonstrates how self-defeating logic really is, albeit at the same time, how mystical. This is the beauty of logic, that at a higher level it always defeats itself. Just as the 17th shadow uses mental spin to condition people's minds in a certain direction, so the 17th gift uses its own version of spin to undermine self-serving dogma. The advantage of the 17th gift over the mass-held opinions of the shadow frequency is that it entails a higher form of cognition, far-sightedness. Because the 17th gift doesn't dictate direction in a person's life, it is freed to do what it was always intended to do: differentiate between those patterns that lower your frequency and those that raise it. Not only does this gift see beyond opinion, it also grasps the operating mechanism that gives rise to opinions and the human tendency to get caught up in them. It is through working with this gift frequency that the process known as the opening of the third eye begins. The first stage in this process occurs when you see the futility of identifying with a specific opinion. This gift brings access to a whole new inner language that circumvents the need for one-sided expression and highlights the deeper issues that underlie argument. The 17th gene key is an aspect of one of the most complex codon groups in the human genetic matrix. Known as the Ring of Humanity, this chemical grouping and its associate amino acid arginine contain the very blueprints of human destiny. We can learn from this group that one of the primary causes of human suffering is rooted in the opinions of the 17th shadow, which looks for and sees only differences. However, we can also find the future evolution of humankind coiled inside this Ring of Humanity. In particular, the gift frequencies of these gene keys show us the 6 essential human attributes that are truly natural and inherent to our species, and among these is the 17th gift of far-sightedness. Many of the gene keys in this codon group concern love and the human capacity to trust in the authority of the heart. Thus, far-sightedness can be said to arise directly out of the heart rather than from the mind. This 17th gift is in fact the true instrument of human perception. We have already seen that the 17th shadow is programmed to see only hierarchies. It simply cannot comprehend that other realities exist beyond its dualistic mental constructs. However, freed from the low-frequency field of mass-created dogma, the 17th gift begins to see higher realities and dimensions. It sees in a totally new way. Instead of serving the intellect, the 17th gift sees through the awareness emerging from the solar plexus system. It allows universal knowing to settle within the logical construct of the left brain, which can then express the mechanics of oneness in totally new and fascinating ways. In seeing the mechanics of life in this way, the 17th gift also begins to demonstrate its other specific ability, prediction. The 17th gift is peculiarly slanted towards looking ahead into the future. Wherever the focus of the 17th gift is trained, it has the ability to see how one pattern gives birth to another related pattern. And since it can transform a transcendental view into a logical view, it can see the logical progression of one phase of evolution to another. If you have this 17th gene key as an integral part of your hologenetic profile, then this specific gift of prescience can be a powerful reality for you. However, you are not a visionary in the same way as someone with the 11th gene key. This 17th gift does not see archetypes. Rather, it sees patterns rooted in numbers, which can then be translated into letters and words. These people can grasp the divine mathematics of evolution and the progression of its plan. In seeing the whole plan as well as its parts, they are truly the real scientists. Unlimited by the traditional views and free to translate their deep knowing of the perfection of life however they wish, the people of the 17th gift are the ones who will ultimately organize the next new human civilization. Furthermore, because the gift frequency is the frequency of the human heart, each person working with this 17th gift holds a specific fractal view of the overall picture of our collective future, which means that not a single one of them will ever disagree with another. The 17th City, Omniscience, the I. As you may have begun to grasp, the higher frequency dimensions of the 17th gene key offer a view of the collective future of humanity, and it is through this foresight that the various aspects of future reality will be organized and constructed. Every individual carrying the 17th gift oversees a specific aspect of a great evolutionary pattern moving toward unity. However, at the gift level, your view is still restricted to a specific aspect of the overall pattern. For example, one person with the 17th gift might see how to restructure a new economic paradigm that will serve humanity instead of dividing it. Another might see how to create a community network based on a similar model. In this way, each 17th gift holds a fractal part of the overall jigsaw puzzle of the evolving humanity. It is only when we come to the 17th city that the entire picture is placed before a single human being. This city directly corresponds to the complete opening of the third eye. At this level of consciousness, the one who sees and the object of their seeing becomes one and the same. All that is left is a single eye through which consciousness endlessly pours. This is called the City of Omniscience. In traditional religious dogma, only God or the gods are seen as omniscient, which is a wonderful example of how effectively the lower frequencies keep the third eye firmly closed. This other eye inside human beings is located within the higher functioning of the pituitary gland, and it can be opened in a number of ways. Various yogic disciplines are aimed specifically at the opening of the third eye, and in the Hindu chakra system, it corresponds to the sixth Ajna chakra, residing between the eyes. Many drugs and psychotropic plants also affect the functioning of the third eye through the medium of the pituitary gland. For millennia, shamans have used natural psychotropic plants as a means of seeing through this incredible instrument of higher consciousness. However, temporary activations of the third eye, whilst affording us a sneak preview of higher states, cannot compare to the City of Omniscience. In the alchemical sequence of awakening, the City of Omniscience can only flower after the full opening of the heart, and the heart opening phase destroys all vestiges of self along the way. It is as though the eye can only open once the inner sun arises. This 17th city is something of an anomaly, since it is the only aspect of the mind to survive awakening. All other aspects of the mind are transmuted into the higher frequencies with the exception of this single eye, the mind's eye. Once the heart has bloomed, the inner eye provides a communicative link or interface between the brain and pure consciousness. The inner eye could be described as perfectly circular, seeing in all directions simultaneously. Whereas the 17th gift can read the pattern of the future, the 17th siddhi can see the future in precise detail. Just as time is distorted through the 17th shadow, it is seen as illusory through the 17th siddhi, which experiences past, present, and future as a single eternal screen of consciousness. It is through the City of Omniscience that the world gets its true seers and oracles. There is an ancient tradition that the true seer is always blind, or that the true oracle is deaf. This symbolizes what it means for consciousness to see through you rather than you through it. At such a high frequency, the human body becomes merely an instrument for consciousness. Through the 17th siddhi, consciousness plays the games of the Maya even though it sits outside of the Maya. If the 17th siddhi offers an opinion or viewpoint, it does so in order that a certain human drama can be played out. This is why certain masters sometimes say strange things to their disciples, in order that a specific opinion will pass through the awareness of that individual and bring about a particular transmutation. It is out of omniscience that such things are spoken, and anyone who speaks from within a siddhic state follows this same process. This is also a siddhi that comes into the world to display itself. Sometimes, and for certain people, it is a part of their karmic legacy to hear about their future. Sometimes hearing about your future actually creates that future, and sometimes it creates the opposite effect of nullifying it. Whenever you try to understand the 17th siddhi with your logical mind, you will inevitably fail. The mind can only hold a single opinion, either that the future is predetermined or created as we live. The mind cannot grasp the paradox that both must be true, since both are interdependent. When the 17th siddhi appears in the world, it comes to mess with the human mind. To omniscience, there can be no borders, levels, or past lives. There is only the endless fractal pattern of life, repeating over and over, the same but always new, the serpent eating its own tail. This is a siddhi that sees and knows only perfection. its programming partner, the 18th City. As such, it is beyond seeing flaws, because what were previously seen as flaws were really only devices to bring about the state of omniscience itself. Omniscience testifies that whatever is happening at this precise moment is absolutely perfect, because it is following the direction of consciousness as it burrows into the world of form. Perhaps this is the mystical meaning of the original name of this 17th archetype from the I Ching: following. Everything that happens follows the plan, and the plan is perfect, and the plan is both predetermined and created as we walk the path. When the 17th City comes into the world, it comes like a divine afterthought. It is one of the 7 powers of grace, serving no purpose other than to offer the truth that nothing need be done in life. Whatever you decide is absolutely correct and in full harmony with all that is. To see perfection is to embody perfection, and such a state is an ending rather than a beginning. Wherever the grace of omniscience is seen, human denial is finished. If you are following a path of service, it is correct. If you are following a path of betrayal, murder, or revenge, it is correct, both when you are in denial and when you come out of denial. The truth of this 17th City creates upheaval in the world. We humans do not wish to hear a truth that so undermines our individual identities, but consciousness must express all its opinions through the world of form. The deepest irony of all life is caught in one famous mystic's words: God can only come and visit you when you aren't there. To put it another way, if you want to know what omniscience looks like, you have to cease to exist.